Look, Bart, we got some other things to share right at the start tonight, too. I think you've got part of your speaking tour coming up pretty soon again.
Yeah, so we got well, we haven't spoken a minute yet. I just got back. Well, I say so we've been bouncing a fair amount. So I did a trip up to New York and New Jersey, right on the border. It's a beautiful setting. Overlooking Hudson River. One side I was on the New Jersey side, overlooking seeing New York there was fantastic. And yeah, we got another city coming up this weekend. We're leaving again. So the tour has been multiple cities. Last time was New York, New Jersey. Coming up is I think we're in the Nashville area. Anyways, last time was fascinating. It was up in New York. And this actually is a really good conversation coming out of New York. And this part of what fed it, quite frankly. I'm down here living at the beach and there's a lot of, cleaner air. There's ions from the ocean, whatnot. And our air is being purified a little bit daily simply because we're so close to the ocean. Yet in New York City, it is a little bit different. It's a concrete jungle to some, and I don't mean that derogatory. I know some people are in love with New York. I think you're one of those people.
I am.
Yes. I'm fascinated by it. I'm certainly not in love by it with it. But I understand it. I fully understand it. And it was nice to be in that culture for a moment. And it was also very good to observe it for a moment. And so anyways, the great turnout, a whole bunch of docs. Part of my, my share is this, that there was over 10 docs in the audience that have been practicing over 30 years. It's impressive. And remember, folks, understand, I'm going to teach only to other doctors at this point. Well, they could be alternative healthcare providers, naturopaths, acupuncturists, chiropractors, medical doctors, physician assistants, pharmacists. We had a little bit of everything up in New York. And they're there on a weekend to learn about gut health and adrenal health. Two things that are massively important in everyday lives. I would say that everyone has something going on with their gut, unless they've completely healed it up. So I was really impressed, and it's humbling, quite frankly, that these doctors are out there. Some of them been practicing 40 plus years, and they're hanging out with the bald guy from Florida to learn about gut health. So it was a very nice environment. A bunch of New Yorkers and New Jersey peeps, and love them for that. I grew up in Connecticut. My mom and dad are, my dad was from the Bronx. I'm sorry, my dad was from Yonkers. My mom was from Bronx. So I get New York. So great group of people. It was fantastic to see. And it was nice to see the amount of men and women that are out there trying to level up their skill sets so they can just go back and help more people. So it always gives me super optimism about the future of our healthcare system. And I talk a fair amount about that. And I also think that on this level, when I'm in that moment, it makes me think that we did learn something over the last 3 years, and that these doctors, a lot of them in our conversation, our small conversations in between the breaks and whatnot, they felt handcuffed, or actually they didn't have the right tools during the pandemic. And especially post-pandemic, when people had all kinds of ailments and whatnot. So super glad to do it. I can't wait to go to Nashville. I've never been to Nashville.
I think it's a pretty cool place. And even more than that, Bart, like I know that these folks that you're talking to kind of are in the same lane of many of the things that you're interested in. But I know that you and I agree, just being around people who are passionate about what they're doing is such a contagious energy. It must feel so good in those rooms, people showing up just to learn.
It really does. And people ask me, Bart, how do you do it? You got your schedule and you're busy and all this stuff. When I'm in the moment there, it's a lot of fun. I'm amongst my peers. I'm amongst a bunch of colleagues that are just diving in. And there's oftentimes we're taking input from the audience because there's just a tremendous amount of experience out there. And, and at the same time, there were some people there brand new that they maybe have really honed in their skill set, say maybe as an acupuncturist or as a medical doctor or as a chiropractor. And yet now they're diving into the nutritional world and the functional nutritional world, which it's like going back to school and starting at step one. So much appreciation for all the men and women, and maybe some more listening tonight. So high five to you in Nashville. Here we come.
Here we go, Bart. That's so awesome.
Yeah. All right. So I do want to also share some clinical insights relative to, we recently ran our carnivore program. And this has been quite fascinating. So I would say overall, the results were phenomenal.
And what an adventure.
And I think very surprising for many people. And I say phenomenal in the sense that people felt good. Pain was a big one. Pain for a lot of people just started to go away. for those people who had really, really stubborn weight loss challenges. They were losing weight, dropping pounds. I have a couple of people that haven't been able to lose weight in years and lost in that 30 days 12, 15, 16 pounds. And we are not talking about a starvation diet. Yeah, all of that aside, the results wonderful. Even myself, phenomenal results. I got on the InBody today. So in our office, we have a body composition tester. And I've never had results like this. So
Bart,
yeah,
that is really incredible. You've been kind of trying everything that you offer to other people for a long time. I know you're still hanging on to that carnivore practice, right?
yeah. For the time being, it's working for me. And so I've been sick. I don't know. So I guess this makes it probably six-ish weeks or something like that. Yeah, and I'm not doing anything extravagantly different in my exercise routine. I've probably made a better effort to be a little more frequent, maybe work a little bit harder, but not big time. In my body fat, I haven't had my body fat this low and my muscle mass this high, maybe ever. So it's just fascinating to me that by just eating, and essentially I would say when people say you just eat red meat, I mean 85% red meat. I mean a fair amount of cheese. Every now and then I eat some fruit and chicken on occasion. Yeah. Oh, I say on occasion. I'm probably eating chicken 3 or 4 nights a week. A lot of liverwurst.
How do you feel?
Feel phenomenal. Yeah. That's the interesting thing. And this is through my travels. So even when I went to New York, all right, little confession here. So I go to New York and I'm doing carnivore, and I bring my frozen liverwurst and my frozen blocks of cheese. So that's
On the plane in the luggage. Got it.
in the luggage, yeah, stowed underneath, done. So I send it up there, it thaws out while it's in my bag, and then I get to eat in the hotel room. And that's what I eat on break and whatnot. So I kind of fast during the first part of it. Anyways, when I ate at the restaurant that night, which by the way, this is one of the reasons I love New York. So I use Uber Eats, best thing ever.
Yes, so fun.
And if you're in New York City, it's double best. You just have the whole city is your menu. So I order a filet mignon steak and a burger. I know it kind of sounds odd, but I order those two and I say no sides, and they're like, "What? No sides?" I'm like, "Yes, no sides. Just cook them in butter, a little salt and pepper. Send them to me." Sure enough, night one they show up, and it's amazing. I'm in heaven. Good to go. Second night, I was like, "Man, that was so good. I'm going back. I'm doing the same thing." I ordered the same thing this time. The burger shows up with fries.
What? How did those get in there?
I don't know. Damn them. Well, here's the good news. I didn't finish all the fries.
They weren't quite done. Got it.
Yeah, they somewhere along the way we lost about half of them, but so be it.
They probably fell off.
Yeah, they probably fell out somewhere, and there's no dogs in the room, so they weren't fun. Anyway, so really good. So my body fat is back down to about 8.5%. I haven't been 8.5% even when I was back cutting weight to compete in like jujitsu and stuff. So I'm just gonna see. I feel good. I'm gonna keep rolling with. That's not what I really wanted to bring all this up with. There was a different reason I wanted to bring up the carnivore thing. So this is a big takeaway. I want everybody to hear this, whether it's any challenge you're doing, and the fact that it was carnivore had nothing to do with it. So I would say 80% of the people or higher that did the program and did the coaching and understood what to expect, and even when they hit bumps, they kind of raised their hands, said, "Hey, doc, this is why I was coaching it. Know what's going on." They had the community to work off of. My God, I'm dying. I think whatever. They run into problems because they had the community, because we had coaching set up. They worked their way through it. The flip side with, I'd probably say 20% of the people did not get results. 100% of them didn't do the coaching. And I can't explain to people what this means. So when I go on a lot of the speaking gigs that I go out and I talk to entrepreneurs and mastermind groups and even other doctors, there's 2 things that we need as humans to be successful. 2, don't cut yourself short of these. Don't think you know too much, or you don't need to hear things or whatnot. 1, we need strategy. That's what we laid out in the actual coaching program. And again, if you're thinking about joining anything, make sure that there's a clear-cut strategy. How do we do this? Because maybe someone's had success in this space before. The second is accountability. So the accountability, that's your coach, that's your personal trainer. That is, so just anyone who's used a personal trainer before knows you get better results when you have a personal trainer. So this particular program we ran. It's very similar to my cleanse. We really emphasize how important it is to participate. You always get better results. What I found with carnivore, because it is different and you're going to experience things different, like you'll have less, you literally going to poop less volume. In the beginning, you got to move into ketosis. So you might have some brain fog days. The people that didn't have the coaching and didn't stick with the accountability quit. So that was my biggest takeaway. And here's why I know that from day one that the cleanse will work, which we'll do in January, and that, the carnivore worked, is because they're elimination diets. We get rid of the crap. Yeah. So that part, I know they work. And again, I've never been anti-vegetable. I'm not anti-vegetable. You hear tonight, you're going to know I'm not anti-vegetable, but eliminating toxins, big part of our lives. And if we can do it, awesome. So my clinical insight there is anything you're doing out there that you have the opportunity to have some accountability and know your strategy versus I'll try versus let me see how this works out. If you're going to go for it, go deep, go hard, right? And listen, and it's okay with failure. Just like the other night, I had some French fries. It's no big deal. Like, I don't care. Someone's going to break my stones about it, but I don't care. It's part of it. And I tell you, when I talked to my wife about it, I was actually totally, you know what the good news is? I didn't finish the plate. There was a victory here. I left fries on the table. And sometimes we have to recognize how much of a victory that really is, because that's not my typical pattern. My typical pattern is if I'm going to dive into the bag of chips, I might as well finish the whole thing. And I know a lot of people can relate to that conversation. But this time, by not doing that, I was like, wow, I flex some muscles right here. So
like some strong muscles. And Bart, that's such a good reminder too, just to recognize that we are worth the investment of our time to find some accountability, to find some coaching, whether that be time investment, financial investment, just recognizing the value of taking a full step to move forward, get stronger.
Yeah, I would go as far as saying this. To some degree, you should have a health, wealth, and relationship accountability person. Those are three most important things in your life. They'll have the most impact in your life. If they go south, that'll be the biggest things that cause problems in your life. So a lot of people, even when it comes to finances, there's people that really are studied finances and, the financial advisors and stuff. They can help us save a lot of money and do things properly, but we had to be accountable. So, all right, that's my clinical insight there. And we get a great topic tonight. I want to talk about detoxing daily. I think this is important. I think we forget that we can do it. And I'm going to introduce some things tonight. There's a product or two that I think are really important for doing. I'm going to say to this point, clinically, I've started to, and I'll talk about these in just a moment. But clinically, there's a couple products or a couple of supplements that I'm suggesting now almost as important as taking a daily vitamin. And I'll get to the why and what they are in just a moment here. So let's dive in.
Okay, Bart. So detox, this is something that we all feel like we know a little bit about. I'm curious, who should be detoxing these days?
The simple answer is that we all should be, and we all are. So the beauty is that our bodies were 100% designed to be in detox mode 24/7. We're going to do the predominant part of that at night when the liver really goes to work. So we could just call this, let's talk about how to help the liver. This could be just liver 101 supports this conversation. We're going to call it detox because the fundamentals with all of the blood in the human body passes through the liver, all of it. On a nonstop, it's just flowing, it's flowing, it's flowing. And if the liver can pull out, handle, and then determine where to send things, then you're going to be in good shape. Liver gets overloaded, we get in trouble. So the answer to the who is it's everybody, and especially nowadays, because just like my visit to New York. So I flew in an airplane, which is filled with basically chemicals, right? And then I stayed in a hotel room the windows don't open. So you could kind of guess what that's taking place, right? Like all the chemicals are spraying. Smells fine in there, but they're probably spraying all kinds of stuff in there. I bring filters with me, whatnot. And then it's pavement city. So there's big buses. That part, I was like, whoa, the bus is starting, and that big black cloud would come out of it. And I'd kind of I'd be the one covering up, be like, wow. Like people are just I guess used to being covered in black diesel smoke, I guess. I don't know. So interesting. When I was up there, it was just good perspective. But listen, we're not void of toxin exposure down here. when you do a water test, some of our water tests are actually worse than New York's, which is fascinating because we have so many chemicals. And, I think we talked about that in one of our other episodes. We did a forever chemical post or a podcast. And then we're talking about the usage of the pesticides and herbicides on our lawns and whatnot. Those are all being leached right into our water fields, and those are going right into our tap water. So we are exposed to so many toxins at this point to have, we'll go into it just a minute, our detox pathways prepared, because they're gonna try to work for us. Like your body is no doubt about it right now trying to manage toxins that we are going to just expose to every day. So the answer to your question, every one of us would benefit from just dialing in. We're already doing it. Let's do it a little bit better.
Amazing, Bart. So each one of us, and then why should we be detoxing? I got a little bit there from what you offered.
Yeah.
Liver City.
Yeah, Liver City. So essentially humans in general, it's easy to say this. If we get diseased and we get sick and die, it happens because of one of two reasons. We become overly toxic or we become nutrient deficient. That's it in a nutshell. And usually the toxicity is causing nutrient deficiencies. So in a moment, we'll talk about phase 1 detoxification. And to do that, we need things like zinc and magnesium and selenium and vitamin C. And if we have, the more toxins you have, the more your body has to give up these very, very vital nutrients that we should be taking in. And at some point, if you have more toxins than you do nutrients, that's the state of disease and disharmony. So are we exposed to these things on a regular basis? Absolutely. It's the fun, think of how simple it is. If you drink alcohol, it's toxic. If you take a medication, regardless of the reason, let's say you just take birth control. Let's just say that you take an aspirin a day for your heart or whatever it may be. Let's just say that you drink fluoride in your water, which that's all of us. Say you take a hot shower with the largest eliminative organ, your skin, which is porous. And in the hotness, its pores open up and you're pouring essentially fluoride on it because of our tap waters. Unless you have a whole house watering filter system. So there's so much exposure. Heck, I think it's right now, women, by the time they leave their house in the morning, they put on 12 different things that are toxic on their body.
Bart, oh no.
Yeah. And then I'm like, well, 12. I'm like, could that be possible? Clothing is one, because all our clothing has flame retardants in it. And then think about shampoo, conditioners, makeups. I don't know what else to put on there. But apparently that's the name of the game. So, and men are like 3 or 4. So we're not, soaps and shampoos and all that kind of stuff. So deodorants, yeah, there's so many things that are coming into our body. And our body it is always in detox mode. So really what we end up doing is having this accumulation versus elimination race. And I think a good analogy would be, think of like a rain barrel, where you have this big barrel and you have water filling it up. And as it's filling up, no big deal. It's just literally no big deal. And it could be this big barrel and you might be able to handle all kinds of rain, just like it's pouring all the time. And then all of a sudden it starts to overflow. When it overflows for the human body, that's dis-ease, disharmony, dysfunction, sometimes even death. So we've got to avoid that. And the way that you do it is that you pull the plug at the bottom, and that's detoxing. And so as we age, unfortunately, there's just an accumulation. There's just more likelihood that we are taking on more and more toxins.
So when we think about detoxing, Bart, how long should we detox for?
So which I think is a good question to have in for a couple of reasons. One, there is everyday detox, and that is really what I want to kind of focus on tonight. Yet I will say this. At this point in the game, and I don't think any other healthcare provider that is in, say, the functional nutrition or functional medicine world would tell you anything different. Doing at least an annual cleanse of at least a couple of weeks, I'd say at least 10 days, 14 days, 21 days, is not even optional anymore. We can't detox daily fast enough. So we're going to have a hunker down mode. And I would say, as a practitioner, I see it every single year. And I would say one time minimum. I would say probably biannual is best minimum. And those are the longer ones where you're going at least 10 days up to 21 days. And here's the thing. Not everyone loves to hear this. It's, but it's the absolute truth. And as you age, if your rain barrel completely fills up and it overflows, at that point, know that your body is saturated. That is when we express all the autoimmune conditions, all the skin conditions, and fatty liver disease. And that's when cancer takes over. That's when all of these other things have the availability to really be destructive on the human body. And so digging our way out of that at that point, it's not easy. And that's why some people frown upon, well, I detoxed for 10 days. It didn't cure me, because this needs to be a journey. So I would say at least 2 big ones. And listen, there's a lot of ways you can do it. We just did a carnivore, which you're going to find out in it's a detox. It's the largest. We did it for 30 days. So it's 30 days of not putting any junk in your body, which is beautiful. And every January, it's kind of like the perfect timing. We'll do a little different phase, but we'll do a different mode, but we'll do at least 21 days. So I think twice a year is probably a great way to kind of, you're looking for optimal health, trying to age gracefully. And yes, it takes discipline. It's kind of hard at times. Yeah, we'll just call it hard at times, right? I don't know that it's complicated, but it can be, the actions are hard because we have to sacrifice some of our pleasures, quite frankly. We have to sacrifice our alcohol. We have to sacrifice our pasta or our breads or our muffins or our crackers. The reason we do it is because we fall in love with ourselves. We fall in love with our minds and our bodies and our spirituality, and we want the best of them. And when we start to teeter that, we can then go, okay, every now and then, if I'm playing a lot, then I'm going to give back. And I think that philosophy is what is going to drive those actions more. And then real quickly to answer your question, I think daily detox is certainly something that I'm teaching on the road now. We'll be teaching it more and more in clinic. Is let's talk about, and that's why I want to dive into a couple of things in just a moment here. Let's talk about, what does it take? How simple would it be to be draining out your rain barrel every day and just letting things drain out? Like, let's get some things out. It's not that difficult. Let's just have a good strategy.
I really like this idea of having a sense of all the stuff that's coming in and just taking a conscious effort every day to let some of that stress out, some of that detox go, even if we don't meet exactly like 1 for 1, like just creating a little bit more goodness flow.
Yeah, I don't even know that we could do 1 for 1. Even if, I would say that my diet is probably as clean as anybody's, and that I know that I'm still exposed to massive amounts of toxins, and that goes for every one of us. So, and the thing about toxins, so for example, you might go into a Target or a Walmart, who they're bleaching their floors nonstop. There's different types of lighting in there, and it might trigger your body to automatically. This is not uncommon. It's kind of funny to talk about, but it'll trigger people. They go in there, they have to go to the bathroom right away. Yeah, so it's not uncommon. They'll go through a perfume aisle. They'll get a headache, or again, same thing. It'll trigger a phase 1 or even a phase 2 part of detox. So there's so many ways that we're exposed to our toxins that I think if we at least acknowledge it, then we can tackle it. And the way I'm going to map it out tonight, again, I think we can make it simple. And that's the goal here, right? Health Made Simple show. We're going to make it simple. We can address, what kind of foods would be good for making sure that I'm always pulling junk out? Are there a couple of supplements that'd be easy to take? It's not a big pile, that are effective in binding toxins that I don't even know that are in there, attaching to them and carrying them out of my body so I don't recirculate them. That's a challenge with some of the detox programs out there. So, so I think that the awareness of knowing to do it makes the whole thing simpler.
Sure does. And you mentioned a couple of those toxins kind of on the nose, ones that we commonly take in, like alcohol and maybe some like processed food, some like drugs here and there. Would you also say the things you put like on your skin?
Yeah, here we are. It's summertime. We're approaching suntan lotion season. Oh, and I think we've discussed this before in the show here, that you lather that all up and you go in the sun, man, that stuff is penetrating through the skin, is being absorbed into the body, sent directly to the liver. And now your liver, think of your liver as your rain barrel. Now it's basically full and it's got a detox. And now what does later in the day go? So if you're spending a long day at the beach, does it mean maybe a couple pieces of pizza and a beer, or couple pieces of pizza and a couple beers, right? And now all of a sudden we're really putting a beat down on the liver. So those toxins, unfortunately, remain in the body. And here's how it goes. This is it's a little side topic, but this is real as it gets. So when they do a little more deeper research on a cellular level, like a fat cell. So our fat cells are, I often like to call them part of the immune system, where they are there to help us protect us. And so the amount of chemicals and toxins that are in a fat cell versus a regular cell is over 300 times more toxins in a fat cell than there is in every other, let's say, a tissue cell.
Oh,
Yeah, that's significant. So when people think about fat, and I really wish we didn't call it that. I wish there was just another word for it. I wish we called them toxic cells. Instead of saying, oh, I'm fat, I wish we would literally say, like, it was just different terminology, said, oh, I have a lot of toxic cells on my waist, or whatever, just something different than just calling it fat, because it just sounds bad. But if we did it in that frame, we go, oh, okay, well, how do I get my toxic cells out? Is it just hopping on the treadmill for 60 minutes? Or maybe I stop the volume of them coming in, and then I help these detox pathways to get them out. So one of the challenges is that, all right, so let me dive into the I guess the detox pathways, because I'm talking about them. So I'll make this simple. And we did a podcast a while ago with, I don't know if you had the what show that was. I think do you remember what show that was? We did phase 1, phase 2 liver detox.
yes. Let me put a little link in here to catch up with that guy.
So anyways, we did a whole podcast on that, but I'll kind of keep it brief tonight. So the way that the body detoxes, there's especially liver. When we think of liver detoxing, do it's phase 1, phase 2, and then there's kind of a phase 3, and that helps eliminate. So in phase 1, and this is really important to understand because this is happening every day. In phase 1 is when we activate the liver to grab these toxins and break them down and make them water soluble. This is really important. So coffee does that for us. So a lot of times we have people that, drink coffee and then it helps them eliminate. Other things can do it. Like I said, there's chemicals that can do it, but ideally we are activating phase 1 as a result of having many things like antioxidants. The challenge in phase 1 is this, and I'm not going to go too deep into this, but the challenge in phase 1, when your body breaks down these toxins, it creates free radicals. And these free radicals are detrimental to the body. They're detrimental to our DNA. They break down the mitochondria. So in the event that we do go from we were able to activate phase 1, which many of us are doing every single day, we have to make sure that in phase 2, we push things through, or really what we call conjugate, bind things up and move them on. And we'll talk about foods, because that's what I want to take away from today. I want to give you some foods to eat on a regular basis and a couple of supplements to take really on a daily basis, especially if you drink alcohol, that you're going to help phase 2, because phase 2 is going to be inhibited by alcohol. Drugs are going to inhibit phase 2. And same thing, if we're not eating a clean diet, we're going to inhibit phase 2. The challenge with phase 2 slowing down, you get all these toxins coming in, you're activating them all. If phase 2 can't conjugate them, think of just kind of attach to them, bind onto them, we recirculate the toxins. That's trouble. That's the brain fog. That's the systemic, discomfort in the body, systemic inflammation. It's just detox floating around and around. That's, eating food, eating gluten, and the inflammation staying in the body because we're not getting rid of it through the body. So let's talk phase 1 for a moment. We'll talk about some foods to eat. I'm going to make this as simple as I possibly can. In phase 1, if you're eating fruits and vegetables, you're helping phase 1. Because really what we want here are things like vitamin C. We want some ascorbic acid. We want the full complex vitamin C. We want zinc. We want magnesium. We want selenium. All of these things are fantastic. Now, the odd thing, other than ascorbic acid, you can get all these things from meat as well, meat and chicken, whatnot. Or not so much chicken, but definitely from meat. But if you think in the first phase, think as many fruits and vegetables that we possibly can get, even some of our cruciferous vegetables. The cruciferous vegetables really play a wonderful role in both. And what are those? Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale. Those guys right there are the ones that, especially for women too, if you have higher levels of estrogen, which becomes a toxin to the body, it'll bind onto that and help pull it out of the body. So this is how we help the body, by eating these fruits and vegetables. Now, again, in this conversation, you might go, oh, yeah, doc, I do that. I eat an apple on Friday, and Last Monday, I had some broccoli. Listen, it just, we talked, you said 1-to-1 a moment ago. Good luck. But the part you can take care of is the nutrition part. So think about everything that goes into your body. And there's already behind that, there's a stack of other toxins that you don't know. So the ones you're choosing to put into your body, eating out at restaurants that have canola oil, talk about something that'll stuff up the liver. That's a big one. But in the front phase of this, your fruits, your vegetables, your cruciferous vegetables, absolutely fantastic. They're good for moving things onward. Once we get to phase 2, then we need, I'm going to simplify this. We need sulfur-rich foods.
So sulfur-rich foods, Bart, could you give us some examples?
Yes, this is where it gets kind of fun, because we have the classics like onion and garlic. And garlic, as many of us know, that also works as a nice, almost like an antibiotic in the body, nature's version, which is wonderful. But also meat and things like salmon. These are things that have, especially the meats, have high sulfur in it. So we just get through a carnivore diet, and were people going through phase 1 and phase 2? They absolutely were. So a carnivore diet with a little fruit, you get the fruits, you get your ascorbic acid, your vitamin C's, and you get your meats. Same thing. Here's why an elimination diet is really the value, because then you could also be on a vegetarian diet. And you would have your fruits and vegetables and your onions and garlic, and there's many other sulfur foods, but let's just say those are kind of the cream of the crop. If you had those, you're in perfect phase 1 and phase 2 of liver detox. So you are becoming an incredible detoxification. You're draining your rain barrel, which is beautiful. The challenge is if, let's just say that we are carnivore diet, but we're doing carnivore and French fries, like I did the other night. Now we're stagnating the system. We're putting that starch in there. We're putting canola oil back in there, some fried foods. Or now let's say you're a vegetarian, but you're doing chips and salsa or chips and guacamole, not in guacamole, but like the stuff they call cheese, but they pour over the nachos and stuff like that. But you're like, is this really cheese?
Do you mean queso, Bart?
Yeah, that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know what queso is? It's just something. It's something in that cheese
product.
Cheese product. That's not going to help us in our detoxification. So as we go, the beauty is it's very, very easy to assist in detoxification as long as we're eating, and here we go, from God's garden.
From God's garden.
Yeah. So the beauty is, and this is the conversation I'm having with docs right now, all around the country, I guess, that we're talking, that it's not that difficult. We're going to keep this really simple for ourselves and for our patients. It comes from a root plant tree, walks in the garden, swims in the sea. Let's eat it. Let's put it in the body. Let the body do the work. Let the body do all the heavy lifting. The liver needs that support. We need those antioxidants. So when we go from phase 1 to phase 2, the master antioxidant of the human body, something called glutathione. And we can test for this. So there's tests we can take. An organic acid test will test you for all your nutrients, for example, your vitamin A and B and all those good guys. Test for, see if you have your methylations and your mitochondrial function, if you have molds and yeast. And those are all important things, because if we can't detox, those are the things that are coming. They're on their way. I'm going to back up we'll go back to glutathione in just a moment. The other one I missed out here is just B vitamins. B vitamins are absolutely critical part of that first phase. And most of the time, well, I should say this way, we are designed to be able to make our B vitamins, most of them in our gut. Challenge is most people have a beat up gut, and we're not making B vitamins. So we miss out on the ability to convert these toxins into water soluble products, or into water soluble components that then we can get out of the body. So often, utilizing some supplementation could be very helpful when it comes to, bringing back those B vitamins, but also there's good foods that have B vitamins. One of them, just eggs. Eggs are phenomenal, but we have to eat the yolks. That's where the choline is. That's where the B vitamins. For some of you out there that are liverwurst fans, like myself, phenomenal liver. If you can eat liver, I'm not a big organ guy, quite frankly, but I love liverwurst. So I'm not going to play it off on eating like raw liver or put it in my blender or anything like that. But liver is one of the better sources that we can get just B vitamins from. So those vitamins, the vitamin Bs, the vitamin Cs, the zinc, the selenium, the magnesium. And magnesium is an interesting one where the liver needs magnesium, And every time you have to detox, you're giving up some of your magnesium. Yes. If you become deficient in magnesium, most likely your pathway will become blocked or it'll slow down. You won't feel like you eliminate fully. And that's why so many of us are utilizing magnesium as a supplement. And there's a lot of good sources out there. We utilize magnesium as a supplement. And not only is it a yin mineral, so it kind of vasodilates the intestines, but it's really helping the liver bind and get rid of toxins out of the body. So if you have a lot of toxins in, you're going to deplete your natural resources of vitamin C, zinc, and magnesium.
So even if you have the magnesium, vitamin C, all that good stuff is coming in, if the other stuff that you're putting in is just carrying it right back out, then it's like a lost opportunity.
Yeah, well, and I won't even say it's lost. Like you needed it. Like you were doing a good thing. You had it. And I would say that's where you have to start to consider that you might start to really rack up the bills or really kind of, be doing yourself a little bit injustice because the toxic foods that are coming in. And listen, I get it. And it's going to require some flexing of discipline. But I'll also say this clinically, and this is the conversation I'm having with the docs each city I go to. If you are trying to heal your body, so listen, if you're saying, well, I'm doing pretty good, I don't really care, I'll see what happens when my rain barrel overflows. And listen, a lot of people have that mentality. I get it. I'm not knocking it. I pray for it and say, I hope you don't get there. But if you are trying to heal from something, you are going to need to get clean. If you're at a doctor's office and they're telling you otherwise, know that should be a red flag. And that showed up in my office today. Someone said, oh, and the doctor said they're looking at some things. They're going to do a surgery. And the patient asked them, because I told them to ask them, ask your doc, say, how much do you think nutrition will play a role in it? And doc said, it doesn't matter. You got to get a new doc. And that's the way we should do it. As consumers, we need to keep raising the bar. And it sounds so hard that I said that, but if we raise the bar, quite frankly, our practitioners become better because we become more cross-trained. We understand, or we have good referrals. So I would say for everyone that can keep tweaking and getting a little better at that, keep raising the bar in terms of what's coming in the body.
Beautiful. So parts of daily detox, Bart, sounds like God's garden, can get some good stuff coming in from our nutrition for sure. What else can we do for daily detox?
Yeah. So in one of those, I do want to at least comment to that. So often people say, well, I'm going to eliminate, and again, it happened today. I eliminate red meat. And again, I know we did a carnivore program. I'm not telling everyone they have to eat carnivore, but building blocks are incredibly important. The body takes the amino acids from those sulfur-rich foods. You can get those amino acids from meat. There's no better source. It takes those and it makes glutathione. Glutathione is made in the body. When I do the organic acid test, which is an at-home functional medicine urine test, I often will see that it is deficient. And what that means, what it really means is that you got more coming in and your body's using all of its resources, all of its detox pathways, all its little, we'll call them wheelbarrows, and it's sending them all out. There's no more wheelbarrows left. So you're sitting there, the toxins are stacking up as you're trying to.
Are you there, Bart?
Yes, I am. You still see me?
Yeah, I sure do.
Yes. All right. My computer just kind of did a weird thing where.
You're still here.
Okay, good. No, I'll just keep talking. Yeah. Anyway, so
glutathione.
The glutathione, which is that is the master detox element. That is the element that our body uses to get things out. And more often than not. So if I run 10 organic acid tests, I'll see 8 of them are deficient in glutathione, which is your detox pathway. It's for good, healthy people as well. And once that happens, that means toxins build up in the body, and that's where molds, and that's where yeast, and that's where H. pylori, and that's where parasites, that's where all of those things, then they thrive. They really enjoy that environment. So we want to, again, do our best that we possibly can, kind of keeping things a little bit clean there. And I guess what I was getting to that point, you can be cleaning your body up even though you're eating organic grass-fed meats. So don't kind of buy into the fact that we can't be healthy eating the entire menu of God's garden.
Wonderful. That, like, more options, the better, Bart.
100%. Yes. All right. So now let's talk about, there's a couple of things that I would recommend. There's going to be one I'm going to say daily. And then if you're a drinker, you're going to have 2 that I'm going to put into the same category at this point in the game. 26 years of practice. I think this is important as someone having a multivitamin. So
Okay.
there is a new product. I say new, we've probably had it clinically for the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. It has turned into one of my absolute favorites because of what it's capable of doing. And the product name is called the GI Adsorb. AD, not B as in boy, AD as in door. Adsorb. And there's a big difference there, and I want to explain that. But this product, really what it does is it binds or it attaches to toxins, and then it pulls them out of the body. The difference here, when we have something that's an absorbent and it pulls things in, that's exactly what it does. It'll pull the toxin into a cell, and we don't necessarily want that to happen. We'd like just to bind to the surface, so the toxins that are floating around, they're in the liver, they're in the bloodstream, that this product, and I'll explain what it is in just a moment, will bind to it, really attach to it, and then it'll carry it out the body. This has been a game changer in terms of having something go to work for you without needing to use up all your resources of glutathione in your body. So I'll explain what it is real quickly. It's what's called an ancient ash. It's technically what's called the clineptolate. That's just a big name. Leave that alone. It's where really old volcano ash meets marine life. And that ash that's produced is what they do it. Now, the interesting thing about this, really fascinating, that this ash material has this innate wisdom, this innate property to not absorb the good guys and just go after the bad guys, go after toxins. And it makes sense. There's a different charge to a toxin than there is to a live substance. So it's not going to bind your vitamins, but it will bind your toxins, which is absolutely phenomenal. And in a time where we are now with the exposure to toxins we just talked about, we did a whole episode on forever chemicals. With where we are now, I'm so essentially excited, not only for myself, quite frankly, but also for all the gut protocols we do. And now I'm recommending as if you're taking a daily vitamin, but you're taking a daily binder to get things out of your body.
That is a powerful move towards daily detox for sure.
Yeah, and it's very simple in its methodology. You take 2 in the morning, take 2 at night, usually take it on an empty stomach, and a lot different than some people say, well, is that the same as charcoal? No, charcoal will bind everything. So charcoal will be very good at pulling things out. Same thing was, there used to be some really good bentonite clays available. Unfortunately, most of them have been contaminated, and really the way they've been contaminated is just through rain. It's sad to say, but a lot of the bentonite clays have, when the rain comes down, there's so much glyphosate in our rain, especially out west. And that's where a lot of the clays were. Now they're finding glyphosate in the actual clay, which is, it's just awful to think that it's getting there, not because it's being sprayed on, because it's being rained on. So anyways, there are other similar things, but this is phenomenal. And now even better than this. So the one that we're using, GI Adsorb, it is this ancient ash. It has chlorella in it, which many of you are familiar with. Chlorella is probably one of the most broadly used and most commonly known for heavy metal detox, which is phenomenal. And again, we got to be so careful and gentle with how we detox the body, because we have to have phase 1, phase 2. We don't want to recirculate our toxins. And the beauty is this is attaching it to the outside of the material, and then it sends it out the body. And again, a little hats off to the creators of this. This is why I appreciate some of the men and women that are behind the scenes. Often the company I use is Standard Process. This is offered through Standard Process. I appreciate the men and women that are doing the work there. So not only do they do all that and they figured these things out, and I don't know how they figured it out. Anyways, then they decided to add what they call stone root to it. And or the other name is, it's Calisandra root. And Calisandra root has been used for decades, or really probably hundreds of years. It's been medicinal for thousands of years. And what it does is helps things move quickly or move smoothly through the intestines. So you are attaching or you're binding something that actually helps you increase elimination through pooping, which is just phenomenal.
That's so rad, Bart. We've got a question from Judy tonight. GI Adsorb, would you take this daily along with your other supplements, or is this a supplement you would only use while cleansing?
Great. Thanks for that question, because I want to make sure this is clear. This is something I would take every day. Yes, it is in my protocol. It's in my top 5 that I would take every day. And I'm going to do my best to basically educate everybody out there that this is So part of us getting our optimal health is making sure we get the bad guys out. A couple of weeks ago, we talked a fair amount about the missing link of gut health, and that was parasites. And if you haven't heard that,
Yes.
yeah, if you haven't heard that episode, folks, go back and listen to it. This is part of my parasite protocol because it'll bind up the debris. Remember, parasites, they poop. And that is their toxin that is so toxic to us. Their elimination was so toxic to us. And the GI absorber is going to help remove a lot of those different types of things that we don't even know are taking place in our body. So if you haven't listened to that, and maybe wait, you would put that episode, I don't know what number it is, we'll put that episode in the bio as well here today.
Yeah, I got it. Episode 151. Got
Yeah,
it.
if you didn't see that, folks, episode 151 for parasites. Great. It's not a fun conversation, but so important. And we really made it simple, just like a lot of our other shows, where to do a parasite protocol, it is not difficult. It's rather simple, quite frankly. And yes, everyone has parasites, and yes, everyone should, essentially do whatever they can at least once a year to get them out of your body. So what did you say, 151?
151, Bart.
151. Awesome. All right. So the second one, so that's GI absorb. That would be across the board, anybody and everybody. If you're just looking for a method to help detox, remember your body is detoxing every day. This will not create. In fact, this is going to help your body get rid of the toxins that your body wants to get rid of anyways. And it might have a hard time getting rid of them because you've used up so much of your glutathione. Now, with that being said, there are ways that we can support glutathione production. And we talked about all our soulful foods like our onions and our garlic and our meat products, because all those are very sulfur-rich foods, and they have amino acids that help us make glutathione. The challenge is that sometimes we can't make it at the rate that we need it. So for all of you out there that like to drink your alcohol, hear me out for a second. If you like your alcohol, cool, like your alcohol. Don't be oblivious to the fact that it's probably beating your body up. And you know that. So I'm just giving you a couple of tools. One would be to make sure the GI absorb is there. Second is probably more important for the people that are consuming alcohol on a regular basis. When I say regular basis, more than 2-3 times a week, that's a regular basis, because it does negatively affect the liver. It slows it down, so it can't get the toxins out. That's why when you drink alcohol, you have a poor sleep that night. You'll wake up between 1 and 3, 1 and 4 a.m. because you congested the liver and it didn't get to go through phase 1 and phase 2 of liver detox. So now the next day you have catch up because you had double toxins from yesterday not eliminated. Anyways, for those people, you love your alcohol, you have it once a week or a couple times a week, milk thistle becomes part of your everyday as well. Yeah.
That's a good reminder, Bart, because it's milk thistle has maybe we have a sense that that's pretty good for our liver, but it's really, really powerfully amazing.
Yeah. So there's two unique things about milk thistle that is phenomenal. Well, there's actually a couple of things. One, it's one of the safest ones you can take, and you can take it with pretty much, I don't know, there's a single adverse effect with any medication you may currently be on. So that's great. So that's one of my go-to ones when people are surgeries, they have cancer treatments, radiation therapies, whatever it may be. Everybody gets milk thistle because we know we have to get those toxins out of the body in order to get the healing going on. So anyways, if you are drinking, milk thistle is your best friend. So here's a couple cool things about it. One, milk thistle, not only does it activate phase 2 of detox, it helps the body make glutathione, and it can repair damage that's been done to the liver. And that's key because there's some damage going on.
So we have a question coming in the case that you are in a state where you might have a little bit of liver damage. For how many milk thistle tablets do you recommend?
So if we use, and again, so I always have to clarify that, as a result of my sharing information tonight, I'm not treating, I'm not diagnosing, I'm playing your doctor tonight. But usually what I'll do in my clinic in the event, here's the beauty about milk thistle, is that it's steady Freddy. The more you use it, the better it's going to get. So we use something called, it's called milk thistle forte. Is that what it's called? Sometimes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Milk thistle forte.
In the beginning phase, if we know there's been some challenges to the liver, I'll do 2 and 2. So 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. But I'll tell you, just one twice a day is actually a very good dose. The consistency is king. Just like we know that your body's always going into detox. So to always give it something to essentially, tools to help it get rid of things, which would be beautiful. But if you know you've beat your liver up a little bit, maybe you have a little bit of fatty liver disease, these are healable. I would suggest, my simple suggestion would be get with a practitioner, someone like myself who's very familiar with how to heal up that liver. And there's a couple of things. You want to make sure be copious amounts of B vitamins. They're very, very important. Your liver needs those B vitamins to be healthy. So we have other products, things like Livaplex and whatnot, that really support the function of the liver. But if you did 2 twice a day, I would do that for about 30 days. Then you can go 1 twice a day would be a great dosing.
And then we've got one more question here, Bart, about the milk thistle. Does milk thistle tea work as well as the tablets?
So it's still very good. It's just therapeutically not as strong. So you're probably looking about 1/100th of the strength. Yet keep doing it. Like any support, you are helping to drain out your rain barrel. So if you have a nice little tea, you have a little ritual at night, and you're helping your body detox with that ritual, those rituals, especially like the tea ritual at night, phenomenal. What an amazing way to set the mind and body in motion to be a better version tomorrow. So by no means, even though the pills might be stronger, don't bail out on your tea. Just keep doing it. If you have an opportunity, there's another really good herb out there called Shishandra. For my people that are a little bit more familiar with Chinese medicine, more my acupuncturists out there, we use this a lot, and oftentimes we'll bind the two, milk thistle and Shishandra. Phenomenal for restoring liver damage and also helping speed up the liver detox pathways.
That sounds like an amazing 1-2 punch. Beautiful, Bart. Well, that is the questions that we have tonight regarding milk thistle. I love the interest that this brings up, ways in which we can truly keep the rain barrel emptying out a little bit.
Yeah, so I think I would kind of summarize tonight by saying this. Listen, I think we're upon a new time where addressing, especially for those of you who are people listen to the show, you're certainly optimistic about your health and you're looking for optimal wellness and you're looking for opportunities to just make health a little bit simpler. This is one of the ways. This is no doubt, I think you're going to see more and more conversations about binders and detoxers that are simple and easy for the body, that do not allow for recirculation of toxins. And you don't have to go through this big overwhelming detox, getting sick or unwell. You can take this GI Absorb on a daily basis and just let it do its work. That's the goal. Couple times a year, hunker down, get yourself, do something, do an organized cleanse, do something you can have fun with, and know that you'll have to hunker down, and it might not be extremely fun doing it, but we still have to do it.
And Bart, in the case someone who's listening wanted to test for this glutathione deficiency, would we be able to offer the organic acid tests?
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you live. We can certainly mail that out. It's one of the kind of the gold standards for benchmarks in functional medicine that we use. And I just mentioned a couple things that it tells us, but it gives us methylation issue. If there's issues there, it gives us some things about your mitochondrial pathways, lets us know about dopamine and fungus and mold. So we really get a great look at what's going on in the inside of the body, especially when if things are backed up because there is an issue with a lack of glutathione. So that folks can be it for many people. You might have cleaned your body up or stopped the bad guys from coming in, but your rain barrel was already full. And now you've got to play a little bit of catch up.
Yeah, I think once you have one experience where the rain barrel spills over, you are pretty careful to not have that happen again.
But I will tell you, clinically, I'm so excited for this product. And practitioners that I'm teaching to, they probably really get the idea that I'm excited and go into all the details. One more thing on this. So if you've listened to our show before, I'm always talking about leaky gut. The other thing about the GI Absorb, this is one of my favorite things about it. The GI Absorb, with the different studies they've done, they've shown it to actually start to heal and bind up tight junctions of leaky gut. So not only are you getting the detox benefit, it's binding up, it's playing a role in binding up the leaky junctions, which is leaky gut, which is a big, big, big deal. So you're really, I'm speechless because I'm happy about it.
Well, Bart, that will lead us into our last question for the evening. What is one step that our listeners can take towards becoming superhuman?
I think it's the awareness of, hey, listen, all right, there's a lot of toxins out there. No big deal. We don't get frowny about it. We don't have to get bummed out about it. Just recognize it. It's all right. I know there's a lot of things out there and I'm going to choose to do more about it. And I gave you a couple of steps tonight and just dive in. There's very simple ways with our food, stick to God's garden. There's some amazing products that are out there made by some amazing people. So they're making our job easy. So tonight the show is really just about making your life easier best I can. So that'd be the action step. Make sure the awareness is there. Yeah, that's it.
Beautiful, Bart. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight for the Health Made Simple show.
Guys, thank you everyone for showing up. Keep doing your thing. Keep sharing it out. Keep spreading the love. And of course, we're going to continue to take deliberate action for your mind, your body, your overall wellness. You gotta be awesome.